January 1. The Australian bushfires of 2019, or Black Summer, that have killed as many as 500 million animals so far continues into the new year. The government of New South Wales, Australia, declares a state of emergency, whilst the government of Victoria, Australia declares a state of disaster in response to the bushfires. 2. A rare, circumbinary planet called TOI 1338b is discovered. 3. Taal volcano in Luzon erupts, leading to the evacuation of thousands of people. 4. U.S. President Donald Trump signs the United States Mexico-Canada Agreement, a North American trade agreement set to replace NAFTA. 5. The World Health Organization (WHO) declares the outbreak of the disease as a public health emergency of international concern, the sixth time that this measure has been invoked since 2009. 6. The United Kingdom and Gibraltar formally withdraw from the European Union, beginning an 11-month transition period. February 1. The President of the United States, Donald Trump, is acquitted by the Senate on both Article 148 52 nay and Article 247 53 nay of impeachment. 2. The World Health Organization (WHO) names the disease COVID-19. 3. NASA publishes a detailed study of Arrokoth, the most distant body ever explored by a spacecraft, which New Horizons passed by on its journey through the Kuiper Belt. 4. The Pakatan Harapan coalition government of Malaysia collapses and is replaced by the Perikatan Nasional Coalition. On the 1st of March 2020, Muhyiddin Yassin is sworn as 8th Prime Minister of Malaysia. 5. 2020 stock market crash, the Dow Jones Industrial Average DJIA plunges by 1,190.95 points, or 4.4%, to close at 25,766.64, its largest one-day point decline at the time. This follows several days of large falls, marking the worst week for the index since 2008. Triggered by fears of the spreading COVID-19. 6. Luxembourg becomes the first country in the world to make all public transport free to use. 7. A conditional peace agreement is signed between the US and the Taliban in Doha, Qatar, leading the US to begin gradually withdrawing troops from Afghanistan. On March 10. March 1. Oil prices also plunge by as much as 30% in early trading, the biggest fall since 1991. 2. The World Health Organization declares the COVID-19 outbreak a pandemic. 3. The government of Nepal announces that Mount Everest will be closed to climbers and the public for the rest of the season due to concerns from the COVID-19 pandemic in Asia. 4. The Euro 2020 and 2020 Copa America Association football tournaments are postponed until the summer of 2021 by UEFA and CONMEBOL respectively. 5. Badla Solar Park is commissioned and becomes world's largest solar park. 6. India goes into lockdown to contain COVID-19. The total number of people in the world facing some form of pandemic-related movement restriction now exceeds 2.6 billion, a third of the global population. 7. Chinese Premier Li Keqiang reports that the domestically transmitted epidemic was, basically, blocked, and it is now under control. 8. The International Olympic Committee and Japan suspend the 2020 Summer Olympics until 2021. On March 30th, the Summer Olympics are rescheduled from July 23 to August 8, 2021. 9. North Macedonia becomes the 30th country to join NATO. April 1. The first case of COVID-19 in a zoo animal is reported. A 4-year-old female Malayan tiger at the Bronx Zoo in New York City. 2. Japan declares a state of emergency in response to COVID-19 and finalizes a stimulus package worth 108 trillion yen, 990 billion United States dollars, equal to 20% of the country's GDP. 3. EU finance ministers agree on a 540 billion euros loan package to alleviate the economic fallout of the coronavirus pandemic. 4. The International Monetary Fund (IMF) says it expects the world economy to shrink 3%, the worst contraction since the Great Depression of the 1930s. 5. The 2020 Tour de France is delayed until August 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. 6. The Pentagon formally releases 3 videos previously leaked by Luis Elizondo in 2017, of unidentified aerial phenomena encountered by U.S. Navy pilots. 7. A fast radio burst is detected from the Magnetar SGR 1935 plus 2154, the first ever detected inside the Milky Way, and the first to be linked to a known source. 8. Colombia formalizes its membership with the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, becoming the 37th nation of the organization. 9. NASA officially selects SpaceX, Blue Origin, and Dynetics to build its next-generation lunar lander to carry American astronauts to the Moon by 2024. May 1. A team of British and Kenyan scientists announced the discovery of Microsporidia MB, a parasitic microbe in the Microsporidia fungi group that blocks mosquitoes from carrying malaria, potentially paving the way for the control of malaria. 2. Astronomers announce the discovery of the first black hole located in a star system visible to the naked eye. 3. 11 people die and over 5,000 fall ill from a styrene gas leak from an LG Polymers chemical plant in Visakhapatnam in Andhra Pradesh, India. 4. Researchers announce a 2.5 cm millipede fossil belonging to the Camphocaris genus, discovered on the island of Carrera in the Scottish Inner Hebrides, is the world's oldest known land animal, which lived 425 million years ago in the Silurian period. 5. Cyclone Amphan makes landfall in eastern India and Bangladesh, killing over 100 people and forcing the evacuation of more than 4 million others. 6. The U.S. announces it will withdraw from the Open Skies treaty within 6 months, alleging continuous violations by Russia. 7. Costa Rica becomes the first Central American country to legalize same-sex marriage. June 1. A $5 billion United States dollars class action lawsuit is filed against Alphabet Inc. and Google, alleging the company violates users' right to privacy by tracking them in Chrome's incognito mode. 2. SpaceX successfully launches and deploys 60 Starlink satellites into a low Earth orbit from Cape Canaveral Air Force Station, bringing the total number of Starlink satellites in orbit to 482. 3. The global death toll from COVID-19 exceeds 400,000. 4. North Korea demolishes the Inter-Korean Liaison Office in Kaesong, established in 2018 to improve relations. July 1. Russian voters back a constitutional amendment that, among other things, enables Vladimir Putin to seek 2 further 6-year terms when his current term ends in 2024, potentially allowing him to remain in power until 2036. 2. The ECB accepts Bulgaria and Croatia into ERM2, a mandatory stage for countries wishing to adopt the euro. This is the currency union's first major expansion in half a decade. 3. The Twitter accounts of prominent political figures, CEOs, and celebrities are hacked to promote a Bitcoin scam. 4. July 21. European leaders agree to create a €750 billion, 858 billion United States dollars recovery fund to rebuild EU economies impacted by the pandemic. 5. NASA successfully launches its Mars 2020 rover mission to search for signs of ancient life and collect samples for return to Earth. The mission includes technology demonstrations to prepare for future human missions. August 1. The Barakar nuclear power plant in the UAE becomes operational following delays since 2017. It is the first commercial nuclear power station in the Arab world. 2. Russian President Vladimir Putin announces that Russia has approved the world's first COVID-19 vaccine. 3. Israel and the UAE agree to normalize relations, marking the third Israel-Arab peace deal. 4. Bayern Munich wins the 2019-20 UEFA Champions League by beating Paris Saint-Germain in the final. 5. Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos becomes the first person in history to have a net worth exceeding 200 billion United States dollars, according to Forbes. 6. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, the longest serving Prime Minister in the history of Japan, announces his resignation from office, citing ill health. September 1. The skeletons of 200 mammoths and 30 other animals are unearthed at a construction site for the Mexico City Santa Lucia Airport. It is the largest find of mammoth bones to date, surpassing the mammoth site in the US, which had 61 skeletons. 2. Bahrain and Israel agree to normalize relations, marking the fourth Israel-Arab peace deal. 3. The Royal Astronomical Society announces the detection of phosphine in Venu's atmosphere, which is known to be a strong predictor for the presence of Microbial life. 4. The first discovery of the perfectly preserved remains of a cave bear, believed to be 22,000 to 39,500 years old. Late Pleistocene, is made in Lyakovsky Islands, Siberia in the thawing permafrost. 5. Yoshihide Suga becomes the new Prime Minister of Japan, replacing Shinzo Abe. 6. A 1634 edition of The Two Noble Kinsmen, The Last play by English playwright William Shakespeare, is discovered at the Royal Scots College's library in Salamanca, Spain. It is believed to be the oldest copy of any of his works in the country. 7. Deadly clashes erupt in Nagorno-Karabakh between Armenian and Azerbaijani forces. Armenia, Azerbaijan, and the Republic of Artsakh introduce martial law and mobilize forces. October 1. In the 2020 New Caledonian independence referendum, New Caledonia votes against independence from France. 2. Armenia and Azerbaijan agree on a ceasefire in the ongoing Nagorno-Karabakh conflict. 3. At the end of an 11-year demining process, the Falkland Islands are declared free of land mines, 38 years after the end of the 1982 war. 4. Israel and Sudan agree to normalize relations, marking the fifth Israel-Arab peace deal. 5. October 26, NASA confirms the existence of molecular water on the sunlit side of the Moon, near Clavius crater, at concentrations of up to 412 parts per million. 6. Typhoon Goni makes landfall in the Philippines, becoming the strongest land-falling tropical cyclone in history, displacing hundreds of thousands of people and killing dozens of people in the region. November 1. The United States formally exits the Paris Agreement on climate change. 2. The Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership RCEP is signed by 15 Asia-Pacific countries to form the world's largest free trade bloc, covering a third of the world's population. 3. NASA and SpaceX launch the SpaceX Crew 1 mission from Kennedy Space Center Launch Complex 39A2. The ISS, the first operational flight of the Crew Dragon capsule. 4. Shuggie Bain by Douglas Stewart wins the 2020 Booker Prize. 5. The United States withdraws from the Treaty on Open Skies. 6. Protein folding, one of the biggest mysteries in biology, is solved by AlphaFold, an artificial intelligence algorithm developed by DeepMind. December 1. The Arecibo telescope of the Arecibo Observatory collapses, just weeks after the announcement of its planned demolition. 2. The United Kingdom approves Pfizer-BioNTech's BNT162b2 vaccine, being the first country in the world to do so. 3. Russia begins mass vaccination against COVID-19 with the Sputnik V candidate. 4. The United Kingdom becomes the first nation to begin a mass inoculation campaign using a clinically authorized, fully tested vaccine, tocilizumab. 5. Nepal and China officially agree on Mount Everest's actual height, which is 8,848.86 meters. 6. Sudan-United States relations. The United States removes Sudan from its list of state sponsors of terrorism. 7. A great conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn occurs, with the two planets separated in the sky by 0.1 degrees. This is the closest conjunction between the two planets since 1623. 8. The number of confirmed cases of COVID-19 passes 80 million worldwide.